right, welcome into another edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mac podcast right here on 1010XL's podcast platform at 1010XL.com. Of course, on their app as well, the 1010XL app. We're also on Facebook, of course, on 1010XL's page and my page as well. Good morning to everybody. Thank you for tuning in already. We greatly appreciate it. Of course, you can catch all the great podcasts that are done pretty much from this room, some outside of this room as well, all archived at 1010XL.com. So check that out. This show brought to you by my friends at Chris Lucero Bail Bonds, the number one name in the bail game. Hey, you get in trouble? Don't get in trouble. But you find yourself in trouble, call my friend Chris Lucero, formerly known as AA Bail Bonds, right down there on Phillips Highway, US 1, if you will, in St. Augustine, rebranded as Chris Lucero's Bail Bonds. Listen, I vouch for Chris big time. I know him personally for many, many years, and like I said many times, he helped out a family friend when in need. 904-822-BAIL, 904-822-BAIL. Of course, also brought to you by my friends at J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling. Say goodbye to your junk, man. Get rid of it and let them do all the dirty work, all the heavy lifting, all the cleanup. Veteran-owned and operated. They are a phenomenal company, fast-growing, and they're right here in Jacksonville as well. JDogJumpRemoval.com. And then, of course, the friends at Carpet Man Flooring, home of LVP. Carpetman's LVP. Yeah, it's luxury vinyl planking at the lowest cost, at the highest quality. You can't beat it. Orange Park on Wells Road, and, of course, right there on St. John's Bluff Road in Jacksonville. All right, so I'm fresh off 5 hours of radio, and it felt great. You know, I was like, wow, what a marathon. I don't know. You sit and you talk, you know. So I'm talking to myself throughout the day. So it's nice to talk into a microphone for a while. Had a great time with Mia O'Brien and Lauren Brooks in the morning show, taking over for Dan and Jeff in the drill. Of course, E to the T, keeping the glue together. And then just got off done doing Jaguars today with Fat Tony as Mike Dempsey was out. Look, big news right now, breaking news for our Jags is what? No mandatory minicamp for the veterans. 2 years in a row. Doug Peterson has said this and done this, which, hey, after going 9-8 and going to the playoffs and winning a playoff game and almost win a second one, that guy can do whatever he wants as far as I'm concerned. They went paintballing yesterday for OTAs, the final OTA. Nice little team bonding thing. Hopefully we got an eye shot out because that would suck. But they had a good time, and now no mandatory minicamp for the veterans. Rookies, players that missed the offseason program, and injured players will all be around. I think, look, I don't really care if they have a minicamp or not. I remember last year, Graham, and good morning, or afternoon, my friend. How are you?
Hello, sir.
Graham Marsh is here, people, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Remember last year? What were people saying? How could he take 3 days off? Doesn't this team need work? They're missing valuable reps. All this stuff, right, about missing the mandatory minicamp for his veterans, and they ended up just fine. So I'm going to trust in Doug on this one. And I do think one of the underlying things is now he doesn't have to answer any questions about Josh Allen or Evan Ingram not being there at minicamp. If they were going to be there, great. If not, whatever. But now he can just say, you know what? They're not here. We're not having minicamp. They don't have to be here. Let's wait till training camp. And again, for me and Josh Allen, you can think what you want. As a former player, I don't really care if he's here or not. I don't care about minicamps. I don't care about off-season programs. I don't care about OTAs. I'll start caring if he starts missing training camp. That's when I'll start caring because that's time to get ready for the season. And if it is a money issue, well, I hope they're working on it already because I don't want to see any kind of holdout from Josh Allen. And same with Evan Ingram. He still hasn't signed the tag yet. I'm sure he's going to at some point. They don't have to be here. I'm not worried about veterans coming in. Now, if they don't come in ready to rock, they get to start on the PUP list, which is player unable to perform list, then I'm going to have a big problem. But I don't expect either one of those to come in. I think and go on that list. I think they'll be ready to go for 2023.
Well, you played, yep. And in my experience, when this stuff happens and people don't show up to whatever, players, former players, current players, whatever, are always like the least concerned people.
Yep.
And I think that's because y'all understand that, like, just because you're not at minicamp as a multi-year vet doesn't mean you're not getting work in, doesn't mean you're not getting in shape, all that.
Right.
I think a lot of casual fans that may not know the difference, they kind of picture it as, you know, if Josh Allen's not at minicamp, well, that must mean he's sitting at home eating donuts. And it's like, no, that's not what's happening.
No,
like,
right.
He's definitely somewhere at a probably private facility, nice facility with a trainer, getting in shape, getting work in.
Yeah.
Like, just because he's not here because of, the politics of negotiations and stuff and whatever that's between him and the team, that doesn't mean he's going to show up to camp overweight and out of shape. Right. Now, when that happens, like you're saying, that's a problem.
Then you hammer.
Leonard Fournette used to have that problem.
Yeah, right.
He would not want to come to anything, and then he'd show up out of shape. It's like Jalen Ramsey never showed up to this stuff, but he'd show up in ridiculous shape. Yeah. So it's like, okay.
I'll tell you this. I and this is no disrespect to Jerry Palmieri, our strength and conditioning coach, but I didn't need to be coached up in strength and conditioning. I mean, if you've been training your whole life, like most of us have, to play in the NFL, and then while you're in the NFL, you know how to train. You're going to go with what works for you. And look, whether that's, a lot of lifting, a lot of running, a lot of agility, a lot of, plyometrics, taekwondo, kung fu, boxing, all things that I took, you're going to do it. You know what I mean? So I'm not worried about that. What I care about as a former player, do you show up on freaking Sunday when it's game day? That's all I care about. Because how do we get rewarded? By winning on Sunday. We don't get rewarded now. Now, is it important? Sure, it's important. I'm not saying it doesn't have value. It does. It has value for new players, has value for rookies, getting the terminology, getting how you coach, getting the philosophy, getting the culture. All that stuff has big-time value. But for veterans that have been around the game, I'm sorry. As a 4 or 5 year vet, I don't even need the coach's motivation. I got my own. You know what I mean? Hey, he can say whatever he wants. I'm behind him. I like him, whatever. Or even if I don't like him, I'm still coming to play because I'm a professional, and that's what professionals do. You show up and you make sure that you are ready to help this team win. So as a player, no, I don't care about minicamp. I don't remember who held out if they did. I don't know. I'm sure Coughlin had a conniption about it, but as a player, I never did. Didn't bother me whatsoever. Just be ready come regular season. Now, again, if there's some mispractices and it gets a week into training, I'm going to start thinking about things. And, look, I think with the Jags, I'm with them on a prove-it year for Josh Allen. I am. We've been through that. So hopefully he has a big year, and hopefully that he's going to, have a monster year and get paid what he wants to get paid. And the Jags, he leads them to a championship. At the end of the day, you know what I don't see out of Josh Allen? Domination, majority of the time on Sunday. That's all I care about. All the rest, whatever. Don't show up now. It's only June. I know people have that, they're going to be behind. They're not. They're going to be fine. So good for Doug giving them some time off. That's a great thing. And I know as a former player, that gives you know what that does? The veterans want to, they'll kill for him. They'll fight for him.
That's what I wanted to.
They're taking care of him. I mean, they feel like, all right, he's taking care of us. Because he could grind us in the ground these next 3 days. And you know what? As a former player, you do what you're told. You do what you got to do. You know what I mean? If that's what we got to do, then that's what we got to do. I may bitch and moan the whole time, be like, we don't need this. But at the end of the day, and if I'm here, I'm a professional, I'm going to do what he says. Now, does that have value? Depends. It depends. I don't think Doug does it that way. I think it's all like, hey, look, I'm going to guide you. I'm going to show you. But it's up to you to do it. You're the ones that are going to have to get this thing done. You're professionals, for crying out loud.
He treats pros
You're
like
grown,
pros.
Man. Yeah, he treats pros like pros. Be a pro. And if you're not a pro, then we'll figure something out getting you out of here. But I want pros, and I want you, to show up when it really matters. Does he want Josh and Ev? Of course. Every coach wants every player in the offseason program. But the reality is that doesn't always happen.
That's probably the biggest difference in terms of managing a roster and coaching between the NFL and any other level of football. Yeah. Because in the league, man, there's no shortage of bodies that are willing and able to take a
Look
vet
who's
minimum.
Still out there.
Correct.
Big players waiting 100%. To get picked up. Are you kidding me? They're waiting for that change.
100%. So a coach that understands that and a coach that's been there before and has done this, just like Doug, Belichick has operated off of this for forever. Yep. I got 53 spots. I got dudes beating down the door to be one of those 53. Yep. If you don't want to be in shape, if you don't want to do what you got to do, if you don't want to do this or that, that's fine. We'll get somebody else, man. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Great point there, because you look at the Josh Allen situation. Okay, Josh is sitting out. Well, guess who just maybe could be available? The guy from Minnesota, Hunter.
Danielle Hunter.
What's it?
Danielle.
I'm sorry, Danielle Hunter, one of the better pass rushers in the game. And I think he had 10.5 last year, 14, 10.5, something like that. So what that does, the coaches may say, all right, Josh isn't here. Well, let's think hypothetically. He may be not here. Well, who's going to replace him? Well, do we have him on our team or do we got to go figure something else out? You know what I mean? And maybe that's not for this year. Like I look at Hunter and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Maybe Josh is only here a year, so why wouldn't I bring him in? Now, right now it would be a trade scenario because they haven't released him.
Unique Ngakwe is unemployed too.
Yeah. And I think Unique's had a great career. I like Unique as a player, but I just think that ship has sailed here.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm just saying along the lines
I don't think he's a fit for the culture. I really don't. I think if you had Doug and Trent off the record and you asked them, would Unique and Ngakwe fit your culture? I think they would say no.
Oh, yeah.
My opinion.
No.
I think they'd be like, no, maybe, but no, he's not like a natural fit for what we're trying to do. And in Unique's defense, he wants to play more. So we don't, now granted, you bring in Hunter, he's probably your opening day starter somewhere. You're figuring that
100%.
So he's that good of a player. But that's what happens when you're not around. And look, for a guy that had to make the team every year, I had to be there. I couldn't sit there. Hey, coach, I'm missing minicamp. You're like, really? Okay, great. Guess what? When we go to training camp, you're like 7th on the depth chart now.
Yeah.
You're at the bottom. So we'll see if you can make your way up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I'm not in that position.
Yeah.
But when Josh Allen, well, they're not going to cut Josh Allen from his.
Exactly.
He knows that. Now, they may not give him the big deal, but they're going to, they picked up his 5th-year option. It's worth like $19 million, something like that, $18 million, something like that. So he knows he's going to be on the team. He knows he's going to be playing for the team. So it's a different scenario. But look, I never, and I don't think a lot of my teammates really cared too much about missing, time in June. It's June. It's not August.
Right.
It's not September. It's freaking June. And let's relax a little bit.
I totally agree with you, first of all, that training camp is the time that the clock starts ticking with
Absolutely.
That's really the time where, just like you said, if you start getting a week, 2 weeks into training camp, that's a time to be concerned. OTAs, dude, it's all right. But I was going to ask you, because you did play, and for those top guys that do have that leverage, they don't have to show up to any of this if they don't want. Is there a time, in your opinion, where, because like I just think back to like Coughlin, like you're saying, like Coughlin wanted everybody at everything in the same place.
And he was more old school than today.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a time where, like, I'll use Jalen Ramsey as the same example.
Yep.
Jalen would work with his dad in the offseason because his dad does his training stuff. And in that type of setting, Jalen's getting one-on-one work with his body and his footwork and getting in extra good shape. And he would show up every offseason, it seemed like, in even better shape than the last.
Yep.
And there's a reason he's been a top corner in football since he's played.
Right.
Is there a benefit to that in some ways, to maybe not be with the team if you think there's some personal stuff you got to work on?
Yeah, I think Freddie T worked out on his own a little bit.
Wouldn't he work out down in Fort Lauderdale? I think
so, like South Florida. So look, again, let's compare Jalen to Josh. Jalen comes in, and whether you like him or not, he's one of the most dominating corners in the game. And he comes in shape. So are you worried about him being in your offseason
Day
program?
one, he's shutting down the best receiver in practice.
I don't care. Just show up. Now, if he shows up fat and out of shape, that's a different story. And I don't think Josh will either. But compare the two. Josh isn't Jalen.
No.
He's not Jalen. He's not that type of player. He's never been that type of player. So, you know, that's a little bit of difference, right? Between those two starters, two big-time money players, right? That's the difference. One guy, that's called political, call whatever you want to call it, just call it status on the team. One guy, I don't care if he's here. One guy, I kind of care if he's here. I wish he was here. Now, I will say this. When you're working out with your teammates running, there's a lot of competition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're being tested, you're being timed, that kind of stuff. You want to perform. So there's a little bit of that. You're in the weight room, you see your linebacker mate putting up more weight than you. Guess what? You want to put up more weight,
right?
Or show them that you're stronger in something else. Let's go do legs. Let's go do something else. You know what I mean? So there's some of that. But most guys are self-starters. I mean, again, no disrespect to the strength coach. I didn't need the strength coach. I could work out on my own just fine. Actually, to be honest with you, my workouts, I don't know if he's listening, but Telis Asimenios, who's the general manager over at Tom Bush BMWs from Greece. He was on their taekwondo team back in the 70s.
I went to school with his son.
Oh, you did? No kidding.
Theo, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great guys. I used to, when they were kids.
Like elementary school, yeah.
I used to go to his house, and he would train me in taekwondo, which I already knew, kung fu, which was all about using their weight to your advantage. So taekwondo, you stop them. Kung fu, you let them go by, and then you whack them. You know what I mean? So it was good for the linemen, to get around. I wasn't whacking them as they went by. I was just trying to get around them. And then boxing. And we would go to he had this studio in his garage. And he had the bags and the mirrors and the whole thing. And we would work. That was probably my harder than anything I did with the Jags. I'm not kidding. And we lifted and ran and all that stuff. But I would go to his place 3 nights a week. And we trained for about an hour and a half. And I'm telling you right now, those were way harder workouts than I had with the Jags.
So that's kind of exactly what I was saying. Like in terms of, you're exactly right in terms of like, Jalen versus Josh and like the leverage and stuff, whoever. If let's say Josh, reports for camp.
Yep.
And he says, yeah, I was working with so-and-so and we worked on these specific things. And I really feel like that was the most beneficial thing for me. Would you buy that?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as the production, look, I'm counting on Josh Allen to be more dominating, more consistent week in and week out. That's what I'm expecting.
That's true. You do that, you better go kick some ass.
You better be ready to go. You know what I'm saying, right? And that's where, like as a coach, okay, I could give you a little rope, but you better come back ready to go.
Yep.
Or then we got a problem because then that rope gets cinched up and you don't have as much rope next time. You know what I mean? So, look, again, there's value there, but at the end of the day, just be ready to go on Sunday, and I think they will. But on the flip side of that, look, the Jags are, they may be looking for his replacement right now. You don't know. They may be, or future replacement. We only got him for a year. You know what? What if he doesn't have a big year and we got Hunter? Or Houston? Or Ingram.
Or what if
whatever.
What if Trayvon Walker takes a huge step and Yasir Abdullah's pretty good?
Or Yasir, yeah, right.
Like they've invested a ton of capital into young talent.
A lot of speed.
Even if you're not looking elsewhere, even if you don't look at the open market or who's on other teams, if you just look at here, I mean, they've only drafted about 700 edge guys.
Right.
Somebody's got to be somewhat productive, right?
Doubt.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, again, what if Yasir Abdullah is really good?
He could be. We'll see.
What if he's really productive and he's making plays and then Trayvon takes a huge step?
Right.
Then next year when Josh is at the negotiating table, it's like...
we might not need him.
Correct.
We might being the key word there. No, you're right.
If I were...
Excuse me.
Again, I'm not in his situation. I'm not him, so I can only speak from an outsider's perspective. I just feel like, man, if you're in a contract year where you still have some work to do in terms of having a bunch of leverage at the negotiating table, wouldn't you want to be here every possible second?
Listen, I would want to be here, but that's just me, and I'm not in. I wasn't in that situation. But again, yes, but if he has a great year, then I don't.
Who cares? Yeah, you're right.
And let me just give you another example. Take Josh Allen to Trayvon Walker. What if Trayvon this offseason said, "I'm not coming"? You'd be like, "What?"
Yeah.
No, your butt's got to be here. As opposed to Josh Allen being a 5-year guy going in his 5th year. No, you're okay. We know you're going to come in shape and hopefully have a better year. I don't think the offseason, look, you can only teach so much technique.
Yeah.
You got to go out there and do the repetitions of that technique. It's funny. I even saw it today, and I watched it at the Jags practice. What did I see today? Nolan Smith. The Philadelphia Eagles put out something of it's Nolan Smith they drafted
from Georgia.
The edge. Yeah. And he's running around a bag. And they're like, whoa, look out. I'm like, what? It's a bag. I don't care how fast he is. Nobody's putting his hands on him. And the Jags did the same drill. And I'm just watching. I'm like, okay, you got to get off the ball. I want to see more bend. I didn't see a ton of bend. You got to really be able to bend that corner for as
you're talking
about
Trayvon?
Yeah, just whoever was doing it, because they all lined up to do it, and he was one of them, of course. But I saw that today. I'm like, and I almost quote tweeted, I'm like, nah, I don't want the hassle. I'm dealing with Philly fans. But who cares? Like, give me a break. I don't care. The guy can run around a bag standing up there and all by itself.
This is the season for all of that, man.
Oh, totally.
I'm telling you, the NFL is not stupid, man. They put OTAs at a certain time of the year for a reason.
Yep.
It's right when we're kind of in that halfway point.
Yep.
Between the Super Bowl was played and September.
Yeah.
And it's that time of year where, basketball's kind of winding down.
Yeah. Hockey winding down.
People are starving
for football.
For any football.
No doubt.
Man.
No doubt.
And I'm telling you, dude, it's
and sorry to cut you off. For me, the USFL and the XFL doesn't cut it. I'm happy those guys are playing. I continue to play as long as you can, but I don't want. I tried watching it last weekend. I just didn't have the same feel for me. I wasn't that excited to watch guys. I have no idea who they are.
I did my
no disrespect to them, because I was one of those guys at one time.
I tried my absolute hard. I haven't done much USFL, but I've tried my absolute hardest to get into the XFL.
Yeah,
man, I hate to say it. I don't want to be that guy. The talent stinks. Yeah. I'm sorry.
And it's not worth watching.
It's not. I'm not trying to be a jerk when I say that. It might get better. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I watch especially getting so used to the NFL.
Yep.
And with the just unbelievable talent at the quarterback position now in the league.
Yep.
These quarterbacks stink, man. They can't.
I know.
They can't go through 3 reads without either getting sacked, or the ball gets batted down, or they're
way
nowhere
off.
Close to
if
a guy is mostly covered, the ball's not getting completed.
Right.
There's a lot of run the ball up the A gap for 3 yards.
No, I know.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's ball. But
not with a bunch of guys you don't know who they are.
Right.
It's different when you know who they are. And whether that's fair or not, it is what it is. And look, if you rank them right now, you got NFL way above everybody else.
Of course.
Who's next? USFL or CFL or XFL? It ain't the XFL. It may be the CFL, but maybe it's the U. But anyway, the XFL's probably 4th in that contingent.
It's just such a steep gap after the NFL.
It is.
I honestly think, too, I have a little bit of a theory on this, and the USFL might be onto something because they're still playing right now. The XFL, they pretty much started not long at all after the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And they just wrapped up a couple weeks ago. I think they played their championship game.
Yeah.
I think that playing now, kind of in the dead of the summertime, is a better time to play because this is when people start to miss football.
Yeah.
And part of the problem, too, and a lot of leagues that have been like this have had this same issue.
Yeah.
If you play not long after the Super Bowl, us as fans, we just got done watching the NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl.
Right.
We just got done watching the best possible talent on the field that can possibly play.
Well, I think they think the XFL and that people just watch because it's football, but it's got to be good football to watch unless you know the people. Maybe you personally know them, et cetera. But, look, no disrespect to any of them because they're all working. They're continuing their career. That's coaches included. So it's all good. Hey, everybody. Great to have you on the Facebook. Appreciate that as well. But again, keep playing as long as you can, coach as long as you can. But the NFL, it'd be interesting, and you can't do it because they could get hurt. But what if every backup quarterback in the NFL was the starting quarterback for the USFL? That may make, you know what I mean? That might give you a little bit more, and even other positions. Now, you can't do it. Be more of a developmental league, right? Like a D league almost, but it's going to be very, very tough to do. No question about that. All right, I'm going to ask you this, and I'm only going to spend a second on it because it's gone through ad nauseum. What do you prefer with the Jags Stadium? 2 years and go to Gainesville, go to Orlando, 4 years, try to make it work. Forget about that. Matt Hayes, the other host here at XL Primetime and 1010XL, he's like, hey, just build a brand new one right next to it like they did up in Atlanta. Knock the old one down when it's done. What do you say? And I love playing with the owner's money and the city's money. It's not our money. It's like Monopoly. What would you do, though? Because you're a Gator fan. By the way, I vote for Gainesville. 2 seasons. It's not that far. You got to suck it up a little bit. And by then, hopefully, we've already won a Super Bowl. And I know you want to see Trev, but come on. Look, you also, when they're finished with this thing, even if it's close to the renderings, it is going to make Jacksonville pop big time across the country and maybe even the world.
100%.
It's that big.
And it's insane to say this with what he's so far meant to the city and going to continue to mean to the city with Trevor Lawrence. This is bigger than Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
This is bigger than any player, or this is like, first of all, this is locking in the Jags long term
Forever.
in Jacksonville.
Yes.
This is, just like you said, it's making Jacksonville nationally much more relevant.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking Final Fours. We're talking Super Bowls. We're talking potentially college football playoffs. More
playoffs, all that stuff.
Correct.
Big events.
Correct. We're talking more A-list concerts.
Yep. Although we have plenty of good ones that come through. We're talking stadium tours, right?
We're talking double that, triple that.
Yeah, right.
That type of stuff. Anyways,
you're hosting Taylor Swift, man.
100%. I would say I've gone back and forth a lot on this. I don't think that any one solution is like the easy, obvious, no-brainer. That's the first thing.
Yep.
I think it's easy on one of my biggest pet peeves on Twitter is when people say this, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you look through the comments, everybody disagrees. So clearly it's a little bit close. Anyways.
Right.
I would say I like the 2 years better than the 4, I think.
Yeah,
just get it done. Apparently it's cheaper too.
Yeah, it is.
So
it is. By about $200 million.
We're already worried about costs. Yep. Let's not make the cost more than it needs to be.
Yep.
I think I would go Orlando.
Okay. I just think the traffic's a pain in the ass down there. It'd be such a drag to have to go that far. I don't think Gainesville's that big of a deal. I mean, look, it's I-10 to 301 and down. Taking about 2 hours,
plenty of times.
Hour and a half, 2 hours.
And it's not bad. You're right. But getting out of Gainesville on a Saturday night after a big game is no picnic.
Right. Well, it's no picnic down here either. That's why I leave early.
It's gonna suck, no matter what. My reasoning for Orlando, you are right in the general proximity. Gainesville definitely wins for the literal just distance.
Yep.
The reason I pick Orlando is I think in terms of and I'm not thinking about myself here, I'm thinking about the entirety of the situation.
Yep.
It's much easier for opposing teams and fans to get in and out of.
Fly into Orlando.
It's a city much better set up for flights.
So no disrespect to those teams or fans, but we don't care about them.
That's true.
And let's make it harder on them.
Yeah,
don't make it easier on them.
You're not
You
wrong.
want your fans to come, find your way to Gainesville, buddy. Right? You got to get your team there too.
That's true.
You got to fly in. It's a little bit different.
That is true. You're right about that.
Could be a little bit different. So I don't know. They're gonna figure it out. I think one of the things, and I know people are asking online, and I don't know the answer. Where's the parking, and where is the tailgating? Yeah, there might be restaurants and bars. We can do all that stuff, but people still like to tailgate, to sit at their car, play music, throw the ball around, throw something on the grill. I mean, the tailgates around Jag games in pretty much every NFL are unbelievable.
That's what makes the
cool. So hopefully they can figure that out, right? They got to figure out where everybody's going to park, where they're going to tailgate, and I'm sure they will. So I think
you know what? You may have convinced me.
Yeah.
You may have changed my vote to Gainesville.
Here's another thing. A lot of Gator fans here in town. Now, you could say Seminole. That's too far to me. I don't want to go to Tallahassee. It's too far from here.
I think the
3-hour ride home would be a pain in the butt.
I think the biggest Florida State fan in the city would agree with you. It's just too far.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 hours is crazy. You can't do that.
And we're getting a Florida campus here in downtown Jax. Yeah. It's a natural fit.
It is.
Is there a cost? Yes, but nowhere near what they're throwing out there right now. I wouldn't. UNF's not going to work.
I don't think so.
It's not going to work. And what do you do with the stadium after? They don't even have a team. Like, what are you going to play there? What is going to get you the return on that investment other than the Jags playing there, if they can even figure out logistically where everyone parks and all that? I know there's a big parking lot right there, but you're talking about adding, they're at 12,000 now? They got to add 30? And they say that's $125 million to add 30,000 seats. Man, the cost of stuff is ridiculous.
It also, no disrespect to UNF. I hope UNF.
Love UNF.
Does fantastic. But that doesn't really benefit anybody else in that scenario but UNF. It doesn't really benefit downtown.
No.
It doesn't really. It just helps UNF and then gives the Jaguars a home for a while.
Yeah.
If they were to stay, and I got to give credit to my buddy, Jacob Lovelace's name. We went to Florida together.
All right.
And we were talking about this when the rendering stuff came out, and he was talking. He's like big stay in town guy.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to go elsewhere.
Okay.
And I understand the reasoning.
Yeah.
He's thinking a couple steps ahead, and I don't think this is a terrible idea. What if you use that money, poured a bunch of money into the Jumbo Shrimp Stadium?
Okay.
You really elevated that stadium.
Yep.
And then
Get a major league team.
And then the Tampa Bay Rays may not be in Tampa Bay for forever, man.
I will say this.
You know?
Now, you add this. Just hear me out. You have a shot at another professional team coming here. Basketball, maybe NBA. Baseball, maybe.
I think
like
Jacksonville, it pains me to say this because I'm a big NBA guy.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, I believe, would support MLB better than NBA. I think it's a more baseball town than basketball.
That's fair. I mean, I guess if you
it is
compare
basketball,
the Giants to the Shrimp, had more fans, I would imagine, right?
And I just think this area of the country is more baseball. I think, nice weather in the spring. It's just baseball just feels a little more natural than basketball here.
Yeah. And we've got now I dig that. You want to add 30,000 seats and then add a major league team? I'm down with that.
And that's kind of the whole
way to go, Lovelace. Good call. I'm going to use that. I hope you don't mind.
That's kind of the whole.
I do like that.
That's kind of the whole going back to the UNF part. Like nothing against UNF, but it doesn't really benefit anybody else.
I agree.
If you do this,
I like that one. That may be
you might be killing two birds, one stone type of thing. In between, you're trying to develop a bunch of other stuff downtown.
Right.
All of a sudden, in 10 years, I might have two pro sports teams.
That's smart. That's a really smart idea. Now, here's another. Throw a little thing into it. Where did Mark Lamping come from prior to joining Shad Khan? He was president of
in baseball, right?
The St. Louis Cardinals for 15 years. That guy knows baseball. That's a great. Are you kidding? If Jacksonville could get another professional team, good call. Good call. I like that call. I will say this. I don't like the 4-year plan. I don't want a section being worked on, and we got to work around that. And you're going to carve out a piece of the stadium,
4 years,
cover it in
time,
plastic.
Man.
You know what I mean? Put a fence around. It's just going to be. I don't know. It's going to look stupid. I don't want that. I think that, and it just takes too long. Get it done. But I like that idea. That may be my top idea for you guys. Good job.
If that was some sort of actual possibility, that would probably be my number one.
And you got 3 years to do it. There's no rush, right?
Yeah.
You just need it by 2026. And what an easy transition. Now, not every fan's going to be happy. You're not going to make everybody happy, but maybe you come up with some kind of lottery system for tickets. You don't get every game. You get every other game. I, for one, look, I'll give up my spot at the game because I don't like traffic coming home. So I'll watch it on TV. Whether they go to Gainesville or Atlanta, I'll go to a game or two, but I'll probably watch the majority of them on television.
I don't care. I mean, they could tell me that they got to play in Siberia for a couple of years to get it done. That's fine. You just got to get it done, man.
They're going to get it done.
I am team. I think so. I am team whatever it takes to get this thing done.
And I will say this, and I got to go because I got a meeting at 1. Those that, are totally against it, I would argue that without the Jaguars, Jacksonville's nowhere near the city it is today.
That's correct.
I would argue that. And
I don't even know if I don't even think that's arguable.
Some people out there that aren't football people would be like, nah, we could use that money for, we could. Jacksonville needs some cleaning up to do. There's no doubt. There's some work to be done. No question about it. But this organization in this city has put Jacksonville on the map and will continue to do so, especially if our Super Bowl winning head coach brings us a Super Bowl. And then, by the way, and I know, look, you don't think this matters. One event we didn't mention, the Super Bowl. Now Jacksonville can handle a Super Bowl with that. Whether that means anything to you or not, it's still a great economic impact. You talk about, look, does it cost a lot? Yeah. Talk about the economic impact that it brings with everything we talked about, not just Jag games, bowl games, big college games, the UFC, whatever, concerts, whatever it may be. Florida, Georgia. I mean, just all of it. That is going to bring economic and on top of that, what are they doing there? They're not just tailgating. They're staying in the Four Seasons. They're going to the bars. They're going to the restaurants. They're hanging around. They're spending money. I mean, the economic impact is going to be, now it's going to take time, right? What's the return on investment on $1 billion? I don't know. It's with all that infrastructure. I don't know, but there will be a timeline, and then you'll break even at some point, and then it'll all be profit after that. It's going to take time, but it's not like, oh, here's $1 billion. We're never going to get it back. That's not the case. It may take 10, 20 years to get it back, but you'll be a viable downtown, even more so than way more so than we are today.
I can't agree more, and that's why I understand. Just like you just said, I understand we can use that money for other stuff.
We can
argument. I understand that, but to me, that's a short-sighted argument because this while it costs money up front, it's exactly like what you said. You're making Jacksonville money long term.
Yep.
All of these areas downtown that have been neglected, that people are saying, let's use the money for that instead. All of a sudden, you're giving them a more viable local economy that you're pumping money into consistently. Right. We're not just throwing cash out at one time and saying, figure it out. Yep. All of a sudden, these places have viable businesses making money on a regular basis. So,
and then maybe they'll move the jail. Wouldn't that be nice? Hey, I got an idea. Let's build a jail and give the criminals a riverfront view. Yeah, awesome. They deserve it.
That's one of those things, man. You can be You can be Democrat, Republican,
whatever,
male, female, football fan, non-football fan.
Yeah.
I think every last citizen of Jacksonville, except the felons, agree with it should be elsewhere.
Right.
I mean, I've never met a single person that said the jail there, that's a great idea.
I'll never forget. I got to wrap up because I got to go. I'll never forget speaking to a woman. She had just bought a condo at the Strand, I think, which is right on the South Bank, high rise. And she's like, I can hear the inmates playing basketball at night. And you're like, you just spent all that money. And you open up the sliding glass door to have a nice glass of wine on your balcony looking over the river, and you can see and hear the inmates playing hoop. Wow, that's awesome. All right, I got to go, man. It's been great. Hope you all have a great weekend and being safe, staying cool, all that good stuff, man. And, hey, look, one way or the other, we got a team that's on the rise. We got the right coach in place. We're going to be rocking. And I'm telling you what, win us a Super Bowl, and all the bitch and fuss and pissing will go down to a minimum. All right? Y'all have a great weekend out there. Big thanks to all my sponsors, man. Love having you on the show. Of course, 1010XL hosting me each and every time, Tuesdays and Fridays, and, of course, on the radio as well. Chris Lucero's Bail Bonds. Don't forget that. Number one bail name in the bail game. J-Dog Junk Remover and Hauling, and, of course, the Carpet Man. Thanks to all of you. I'm always looking for more, too, so bring it on, baby. I love representing great companies right here in the great city of Jacksonville. So until next time, stay safe, be cool. We'll see you right here. Catching up with Tommy Mack. Peace.